So again, those would be the more significant issues, and we've not identified any of those. That compares to identifying 2 in the prior year. And then finally, we have noticed in working with management both this year and working with our prior year findings, management has been very proactive in working through any issues we've identified. And the two issues we have reported in 2014, I know they're already working towards getting fixed, and hopefully will not repeat in the next year. And finally, I just want to briefly highlight our single audit report. As Terry mentioned earlier, this is the report over federal program and financial aid compliance. Again, these are unmodified opinions or clean audit opinions that we are issuing. As part of the federal audit program, we identify what are considered programs and really put our focus on testing those programs. So this year for the college, we tested 2 major programs. These are the same programs we actually tested last year, and I think the board's pretty familiar with both these, and they are probably the 2 largest in dollar amount and probably the 2 largest qualitatively as well for the college. So the first is the testing of the student financial aid cluster that includes Pell Awards as well as direct loans that the college makes to students. And then the second program tested is the TAACCCT grants. I think I got all the initials properly there. So that's actually a cluster of several grants that were included in that testing, and those are listed out to the right there. So I don't want to try and struggle through all those, but those are all grants that are administered through the Department of Labor as well. So within that testing, we did have 2 compliance findings. Again, these are fairly minor findings within the scope of our audit work, and they're listed up there. The one related to just a student credit balance that was not returned to the student in a timely manner in accordance with the federal regulations. And then the second, there's some federal student enrollment requirements that are required to be posted within what's known as the National Student Loan Database, and there were just a few issues throughout the year posting those enrollment updates. But again, those are fairly minor compliance findings, and working with management, I think we're pretty confident they've identified the causes of those and are working to proactively address those going forward. Again, within our single audit report, we've not reported any internal control weaknesses over grant compliance or similar areas. And finally, the 2 compliance findings does compare pretty similarly with the prior year where we did report 2 compliance findings. Both those findings were mitigated during the current year and are not repeated findings. So, any questions on either the grant compliance work we've done or the required communication letter?
Matt, on the TAACCCT grant, that cluster, I noticed Anne Arundel, which is another community college up there. Are we the finance director for Anne Arundel?
No.
No? Okay. So if there was a problem with any of the auditing of Anne Arundel, we would not be responsible for it?
That's a really good question. The way that a couple of these grants are set up within the community college system, you have what are known as subrecipients. So those would be other community colleges that you receive grant funds to and then disperse a portion of those funds to. There are grant compliance requirements related to what's known as subrecipient monitoring. So there are requirements that the college has to basically be proactive in monitoring that relationship. If they have any specific grant findings, your requirement would be to help them mitigate those and make sure that they're reporting those to you as well as
It wouldn't become your findings, though.
Correct.
It would become ours, okay. That's what I was getting at.
So the only way we would know that is if, in fact, we contacted each one of the subrecipients and asked for a copy of their audit report. Is that
Correct.
And
Which
then
is
it's something that's
We do.
Right.
And Nick reviews each of them for this purpose and make sure that they're at least reporting at the receiving school and that's included in our data.
Plus, we do a federal audit if there's a certain amount, right? Besides your audit, we have to still do something?
As far as doing an actual site visit at the community college?
No, just a federal audit.
Yeah. I think
Oh,
that's-
that is
that's-
covered through the single audit? Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Just a comment. Thank you. excellent report. Just from a PR stance, Jerry and others, you know, we talked earlier about our friend Jake, and he's probing for the story. I would suggest, maybe you, and maybe you did this, I don't know, or anyone else that speaks to the public, is that we give them, you know, talk a
This is
little
good
bit
story.
about the audit report,
Yeah.
since it's very detailed by one of the best accounting auditing firms in the country, that we suggest that in comments,
That's why you're here this
comments to the reporter, and maybe it's not so extemporaneously that, you know, give them this type of information.
Yeah.
We do a thorough job on auditing, and maybe try to dispel some of the speculation that he's trying to find that there's inaccuracies in the way the public money is being spent here, and that's totally inaccurate.
This came at a real opportune time because one of the things that I told this reporter when he called to interview me was that we have a lot of checks and balances in place here and that we get regular reports of expenses, plus we have both internal and external auditing, and those have always been very good and you know, that we're on top of that. So this is a good opportunity to use that.
Absolutely, you know, give them the data. You know, here it is.
Yeah.
Got it all.
We, the only comment I'd add is that, you know, some of the CAFR is a public document. The single audit report is filed through the federal audit database, and that's a searchable engine that anybody can go to. Some of the required communication to the board that we just went through and some of the control deficiencies aren't necessarily public communications, but part of our work with management, they've stressed that they prefer to be as transparent as possible on some of those. So some of the items I just covered do kind of fall into that range where they are not necessarily public documents, but definitely if that's something the board chooses to.
But from the PR stance, Diane and others can work through that.
Right.
She's working on it right now.
She's typing up her notes over there.
Ma'am, Sarah, I know there used to be an animal way back when called Sarbanes-Oxley or something like that.
Sarbanes-Oxley, yes,
That
that's right.
required the board chair to meet with you to sign off on all of that stuff. Is this something that you've done?
Yeah, well, the interview, yes, our interview did happen with the chairwoman. What you're referring to actually falls under an audit standard, SAS 99. It's for the consideration of fraud in the financial statement audit, and that requires us to reach out to at least one person at the board level. We typically find the chair to be the most appropriate
And that's
and do
been
those
done already?
communications.
You
Yes,
did
that
that?
has.
Yes. Then I just have one more question. Somewhere in our board packet today for us to approve of procurement card services, it says we're doing this to address audit concerns. Can you tell us what those audit concerns are?
Was that part of our report?
Well, no, it's just language on a bid item. It says that we're being asked to approve of something because of audit concerns, and you're our auditor, so that they are your concern.
Oh, it
Yeah,
could
another time.
be directly related
Sure,
to.
if you remember, communication request, the current audit of our procurement firm.
Oh, so this was the project that we completed in the spring. Okay, so yes, McGladrey did some specific services, kind of targeting a certain area on the procurement cards. A group within McGladrey, outside of the audit team, had come in and done some specific testing at management's direction of a certain area and the use of procurement cards, and then reported back to management as to what we found.
So this was something from last year that we're doing. We're
It
implementing
was,
now.
January, I believe, January, February. Sorry for my lack of making that connection. Any other questions for us?
No, just a comment. It's always nice to have a clean audit.
It sure is. It sure is. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
As
you.
shown above, our contact information is included. We are always available to reach out to our official board.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.